How to resolve conflicts and lead challenging people. Dealing with conflict and leading challenging people is one of the most difficult areas for most leaders. You can do all the right things, but there is no guarantee others will change, succeed, or do well. The recommendations in this chapter will work only with people who possess some desire to work with you. People who do not want to follow or be productive members of the team will not change. And that doesn't make you a bad leader. It just means you have someone who's bad for the team and organization. You cross into bad leadership only if you make the choice to keep someone on the team when you shouldn't. Too often, leaders wait. They don't like to make these difficult decisions. They hope people will change on their own instead of challenging them and offering them a pathway to change. This rarely works. Everyone deserves our best shot as leaders to help them succeed. But they don't deserve repeated chances, especially at the expense of others on the team. Nobody likes making these hard decisions, but they must be made, and the sooner the better. Good leaders are direct and decisive in these matters. Ask yourself, is this best for the team? How can a leader deal with a difficult member of the team? How do you move an individual from unteachable to teachable? Demand the change of a bad attitude from an employee? Lead someone with a passive-aggressive personality who is loyal and effective but is hindering the team? Handle an angry employee? Or deal with a person who does not want to be led? Any time you have difficulty with people you lead, whether it's because of a negative attitude, poor performance, lack of cooperation, or some other issue, you need to start a process, and that process is the same for nearly every situation. Before I lay that out for you, I want to point out 2 questions you need to ask before you get started. Can they change? This deals with ability. Will they change? This deals with attitude. Most of the questions in this chapter about dealing with others do not relate to ability. They relate to attitude. For this process to be successful, when you ask people to change, the answer to both questions has to be yes. It can't be either or. I've known people with great ability but a bad attitude, and I've known people with a great attitude and poor ability. If people are able and willing to change, there's a chance you can be successful. 1. Meet privately ASAP to discuss their behavior. Most people wait too long to address an issue with an employee. That's a mistake. If you have a problem with someone, do something about it as quickly as you can. Meet with the person privately and level with them with integrity and honesty. Clearly lay out what the issue is, giving specific, tangible examples of the undesirable actions or behaviors. Don't be vague. Don't use second-hand reports. Don't attribute bad motives to them, because they will only get defensive. Never go into one of these meetings angry. If you do, you greatly reduce your chances of success. In fact, go into the conversation assuming their motives are good. This is more likely to make them open to change and willing to make corrections. And be sure to explain how their actions are negatively affecting the organization, the team, or you. If your attitude is positive, your mindset is to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you truly want to help the person, you give yourself the best odds for a positive resolution. 2. Ask for their side of the story. Sometimes circumstances such as a personal tragedy are temporarily prompting unwanted behavior, and the person simply needs help or understanding. That's why you don't want to go in with guns blazing. You might be wrong. 3. Try to come to a place of agreement. At this point it's time to find out if they agree with you. Admitting they're in the wrong can be very humbling for them, but it opens them up to change, and that's ideal. Often you can help someone with that attitude. However, I've had many people say, no, it's someone else's problem. When that happens, I tell them, I believe I'm right and this is your problem. I'm going to give you a week to think about it. We'll meet again and discuss it. My hope is that they'll give it some honest thought and maybe ask people who know them well and will be honest with them. After a week has gone by, we meet and I ask, do you agree that this is your problem? If they have had a change of heart and agree with me, we can move forward to the next step, because they've taken responsibility. If they still don't agree, I say, you may not agree with what I've just said. But you will have to agree to change and follow my guidelines if you want to remain on the team. And I'm going to hold you accountable. 4. Set out a future course of action with a deadline. No matter whether people agree with you or not, you must lay out a specific course of action for them to take. Once again, be very specific. Indicate any actions they must not take or behaviors they must not exhibit, starting immediately. If there are action steps they will need to follow through on, lay those out and put deadlines on them. And make sure they understand. Put your requirements into writing if needed. If you don't both agree on what needs to happen in the future, you will both be frustrated. 5. Validate the value of the person and express your commitment to help. Before you finish your meeting, let them know that you care about them and genuinely desire a positive resolution to the situation. Tell them how you will help them. Sometimes the greatest value a leader can add to other people comes through telling them the truth, showing them where they can grow, and then helping them change. Some people spend years on a job being resented by their boss and fellow employees, but are never told about their problem or given a chance to change and grow. As a leader, you have the chance to help them. Sitting down with people and telling them where they fall short isn't easy. And there's no guarantee that they will acknowledge their problem or change. There's a strong chance that you will have to let them go. If you are having a hard time making that decision, ask yourself this question: if I needed to hire new people, knowing what I know now, would I hire these individuals? If the answer is yes, keep them. If the answer is no, let them go. If the answer is maybe, reevaluate in 3 months. If the answer is that you don't know, give yourself 3 months. If after that the answer is still that you don't know, the answer is really no. Your emotions are making it difficult for you to accept a hard decision. As a leader, you owe it to the rest of the team to make these tough choices. That's what you get paid for. How do you raise the bar when people have gotten used to settling for mediocrity? The first question in this chapter dealt primarily with attitude issues. This is more of a performance issue. I think any time the team isn't performing, the leader has to look at himself first. You need to examine whether you might be part of the problem. Are you setting a bad example? Have you lowered your expectations so far that people just assume that average is okay? If either of these things is true, go back to the question in Chapter 1, why does leading myself seem more difficult than leading others? You can't raise the bar for others if you haven't raised the bar for yourself. If you as a leader are pushing to reach your maximum potential, you can begin to look at the people you lead and start asking them questions. Are you reaching your maximum potential? Many people don't understand that they can do much more than they are currently doing. Help them see the possibilities. Would you like to do better? If they answer yes, you may be able to help them. If they answer no, they can't even help themselves. Do you know how to reach your maximum potential? This is a case where a no answer is actually a good thing. If they don't know the path forward, you may be able to show it to them. Can I help you? One of the most rewarding roles leaders have is that of coach and mentor. When people are teachable and open to growth, helping them succeed can be highly rewarding. As a leader, you need to help your people understand that nothing good comes out of being average professionally. You can't build a business or make a difference by being average. One of the best ways to raise the bar for people is to do it incrementally. For example, if you are a real estate broker with a lot of agents in your office and most of them make only 3 sales a year, challenge them to do 4. That's a very reasonable increase that most people will believe they can do. If you set the goal, give them an incentive to reach it, help them create a plan to achieve it, and check in with them along the way, most of them will be able to achieve it. The beauty of incremental challenges is that they increase the confidence of the people who achieve them. And they inspire everyone else who has been average. They give them hope. That's why every time someone gets a win, you should tell their story. It rewards that person and motivates those in the middle to perform better. The top producers don't need motivation. They are already motivated and performing well. Everyone else needs it. An incremental challenge also helps the organization when it has a lot of people. If every person grows a little, the organization grows a lot. If you can get a lot of people improving, it can have a tremendous impact overall. How do you motivate an unmotivated person? When I started out in leadership, I thought I could change people. Now I realize I can't. People must change themselves. That doesn't mean that I have no responsibility to people in my organization in the area of motivation. There are still things I can do. I can work to create an environment and culture where motivation is valued and rewarded. Here are the ways I do that. Start with motivated people. The best way to create a culture of motivation is to start with as many motivated people as you can. And if you want people on your team to be motivated, you must be motivated yourself. People do what people see. You should also hire motivated people. That sounds obvious, but you might be surprised how many leaders leave this trait out of the equation when looking for team members. Many focus too much on just talent or skill. Even the leaders who recognize the importance of attitude sometimes miss motivation. Understand the connection between relationships and motivation. People are motivated by leaders who connect with them and treat them like human beings. If you are a people person, this may sound painfully obvious to you, yet some leaders still miss it. I once knew a leader who referred to all the people on his team as dinglings. It was clear that he believed everyone was below him. His contempt for people was apparent to everyone who worked for him. Few things are more demotivating than working for someone who disrespects you. Hire motivated people. How can you identify motivated people? They usually have several of the following traits. 1. They exhibit a positive attitude. 2. They can articulate specific goals for their life. 3. They are initiators. 4. They have a proven track record of success. Look for these traits when looking for new team members. Give each person a reputation to uphold. People often go further than they think they can go when someone else thinks they can. One way to show people that you believe in them and in the possibility of success for their future is to give them a reputation to uphold. Ask yourself what's special, unique, and wonderful about each person on your team. All people have talents, skills, and positive traits that make them valuable to the team. Figure out what they are and then share them with others. The more you validate people for the good things they do, or could do, the more they want to do them. Not only does this motivate them to perform in their strength, it also encourages an environment where people say positive things about one another. Reward what you want done. Rewards are motivating. Rules, consequences, and punishment don't do anything to get people going. They merely keep people from doing their worst. If you want people's best, give them incentives for performance. How do you deal with people who start things but never finish? The bookends of success are starting and finishing. Some people never start. If people don't have the discipline to do what they must when they need to do it, they have no shot at success. Good things in life don't float to you. However, some people are in love with starting things, but never finish them. As a leader, you can help people to finish better by helping them understand what happens when they don't follow through and finish something. They lose the reward of finishing. Anyone who has accomplished things in life understands that 90% of the rewards in life come on the back end, not the front end. A great sense of personal satisfaction comes from completing a job and doing it well. There is a real feeling of camaraderie and joy among team members when they work together to accomplish a goal. And of course, the monetary rewards also come from finishing. People who never finish anything never experience these rewards, so they don't understand them. They lower their self-esteem. Every time people quit and don't finish something they start, they lose a bit of their self-esteem. Whether they are aware of it or not, they begin to internally label themselves as quitters. I've never found a person with a high self-image who quits all the time. There is a pride in accomplishment that people who quit do not possess. They may show false bravado, but not a deep sense of satisfaction with who they are and what they can do. They sabotage their own success. People who never finish often don't understand they are developing a habit that will sabotage their success. Quitting becomes a habit. And they make excuses. But it's easier to move from failure to success than from excuses to success. They lose the trust and respect of others. Quit enough times, and others will think you are unreliable, and that erodes trust. Nobody wants to work with people they cannot trust. Nobody wants to be handcuffed to a quitter. People who blow themselves up will eventually take you with them. Practical tips to help people become finishers. To help people learn to finish what they start, do the following. 1. Show them the big picture. Help them to see the more positive future they can have if they learn to become finishers. 2. Give them accountability. People who have developed the habit of quitting are often unaccountable for their actions. You can change that. 3. Help them schedule their time. People who don't finish are often unorganized or undisciplined. They often need tools to help them with scheduling tasks. 4. Provide a work partner. Sometimes pairing non-finishers with highly motivated people can help them to follow through. Just be sure you don't bring down a good performer in the process. 5. Reward only finished work. It's good to praise effort, but you should never reward it. Give the reward only when the work is done. People who don't finish what they start often don't recognize the negative impact it has on themselves and others. As a leader, you can help them to understand. Teach them that by starting and finishing they are demonstrating that they can handle bigger and better responsibilities. They become candidates for more time, attention, and opportunity from you and the organization because they are demonstrating that they are ready for these things. How can leaders help individuals move past mistakes and get on a path of success toward a better future? The ability to deal with difficulties, mistakes, failure, and loss is crucial to people's success. Many people get emotionally stuck when they make a mistake or suffer a loss. They often become overwhelmed by regret. If the regret takes hold for too long, it can turn into guilt, resentment, and self-pity. When we experience losses, we need to learn from them and let them go. If we focus on the loss instead, it can bring us down. Some losses require time because they cut deeply. We need to grieve. We need time to heal. But many small losses and problems don't warrant much energy. One of the healthiest ways to treat loss is the same way we should treat victory. Observe the 24-hour rule. When we experience victory, we should celebrate for no longer than 24 hours. When we experience defeat, we should let it get us down for no longer than 24 hours. Once you've processed the emotions, it's time to learn from the experience and move on. At what point do you turn your energy away from low performers and focus on those who want to grow? As leaders, we often want to take everyone with us. But some people can't go with you. Others don't want to. Your job as a leader is to give people a chance to get on board, giving them your best at helping them succeed, or to move on without them. The people you spend most of your time and energy on are the ones who stay. The ones you neglect are the ones who leave. If you give your effort to the negative people, at some point you need to ask yourself how much of your energy, time, focus, joy, and resources you'll let them take. There is a cost to keeping negative or unproductive people. There are lifters and leaners. Whom do you want on your team? If you don't winnow out the dissenters and low performers, you lose people's respect for your leadership. If people are not doing their jobs, they deserve your best shot to help them succeed. If they're still not doing their best when you have given them your best shot, it's time to make changes. As a leader, you have to set the standard and then follow through on it. You have to be willing to make the difficult choices and live with the fallout. When I have to let someone go, I try to do it in the right way. I appreciate them. I do the right thing financially. And I don't look back. Recently, when I let someone go, he wanted another chance or the opportunity to come back in a lesser role. I said no. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Often we know it won't work, but we want to keep the relationship and we give in. That's not good for anybody in the long run. How do you inspire your team to make its current work a career and not just another job with a paycheck? If you're leading people who have settled into a role or position, whether it's because they are in a comfort zone or because they see their work as just a job, try to help them open their eyes and think beyond today. Help them to realize that a job is never big enough for a human being. We have too much inside us for that. Offer them something beyond their job by doing the following: share your passion. If you have passion for what you do, you need to share it with your people. A leader's passion is contagious. It can attract other passionate people, and it can spark a flame in people who might not otherwise be passionate. If they can understand and connect with the vision you have and the passion you feel, there's a good chance that they will catch it and become passionate too. Paint a picture of a better future. People want to make a difference. One of your jobs as a leader is to paint a picture of their future that inspires them to work harder today. Tell them who they can become. Show them what they could someday be doing. This must be done with integrity, because as leaders, we never want to manipulate people. We just want to help them envision the future. Show how their role makes a difference. Too often people don't understand how their tasks contribute to the bigger picture. Good leaders help team members understand their role. They help them see how their contribution is making a difference. This gives team members a sense of ownership over the mission, and inspires them to do better work. Challenge them to keep growing. We need to help people see the value of growing. It is essential not only for the organization's viability, but also for the individual's future. People who make growth their goal, instead of a title, position, salary, or other external target, always have a future. All of these things have the potential to help a leader inspire someone to invest himself more fully in his or her work and stop coasting. But everything I've just discussed rests on one assumption: that you are passionate about your own work. That is essential. People do not follow an uncertain trumpet. They can't catch fire from a leader who has grown cold himself. If you aren't fired up, you are a big part of the problem, and the first person you must address is yourself. How does one lead people who are more knowledgeable, or superior leaders, when put in charge of them? If you've been put in charge of a group of people who are stronger than you in leadership or technical ability, here's the good news: you have a position. Here's the bad news: the position won't mean anything to them. They won't follow you because of it. If the team is talented, you can't fool them. You can't fake it. Good leaders will sniff this out instantly. You can't make a mess and then expect the team to bail you out. You'll lose them. You also can't use your position or pull rank and keep their respect. If you try to, they will disdain you and then sabotage you. You need to admit where they're better than you, and look for common ground. If they know that you know you're not as good as they are, they may not feel as compelled to keep pointing it out to you. Your best strategy may be to enlist help from the most influential person on the team. Go to him or her and say, "Look, I know you're more experienced than I am. You have more knowledge. My goal is to help the team win. Can I get your help? When I have a problem, can I come to you for advice? When I need to make a decision for the team, can I talk it over with you? I know that with your help, we can all be successful." If the person says yes, follow through. Ask for advice. Ask for help. And when things go right, publicly give that person credit. Who is most influential? It can be very difficult to evaluate leaders who are more gifted and skilled than you are. It's always easier to judge those less talented. So how do you figure out who the main influencer is? Ask these questions. 1. When points are being made, whom does everyone agree with? 2. When questions are asked, whom does everyone look to for answers? 3. When conflict arises, whom does everyone defer to? 4. Who is the person everybody listens to when he or she speaks? You may not be able to make this determination quickly. You may need to see people interacting in a variety of situations over time. But if you pay attention, you should be able to figure it out. How long do you push someone's potential when they are not reaching it? To keep growing toward our potential, we have to be intentional. We have to fight for it. That can be difficult. Not everyone is willing to keep doing it. When people stop growing, I find that it is often for one or more of the following reasons. Choices. Many people make choices that limit them. They quit a job with great potential because it is difficult. They put themselves into debt and then can't pursue an entrepreneurial opportunity. They choose a fun vacation over a conference that might lead to a personal breakthrough. In life, for everything you gain, you give up something. We can make choices that increase our potential or choices that take away from it. Time. Most people have a short-term approach to success. They want it now. And even if they are willing to engage in a process, they usually have no idea it will take a long time. So they bail out. I have to admit, I am an impatient person and usually have unrealistic expectations about how long something will take. So I develop systems to help me, and I rely on daily disciplines. By focusing on what I know I should do today, I am able to keep plugging away and continue growing. Price. Many people think they can rely on talent alone to get them through life. But talent will not carry you to your potential. It's only one part of the equation. Everyone who strives to reach his or her potential must pay a price, in time, effort, resources, and opportunities missed. Many people fail to pay the price that their potential demands. Problems. Everybody faces problems, obstacles, and barriers. Some people let those things defeat them. They fail to think creatively when problems arise. They don't have the tenacity to fight through them. Or they lack belief in themselves. Sometimes all people need is some encouragement. Spend time getting to know what a person can do. Most people do not push themselves to their full capacity to reach their potential. If you lead people who are falling short of their potential, you need to start asking why. Have you put them in their strength zone? Are you providing the training and resources they need to be successful? Is there something they need that you're not giving? You always need to make sure you are not the problem before you look to see where the problem is. After that, you must remember it is their choice, not yours. You can't push people to reach their potential. You can choose to leave the door open for them, but they must walk through. If they choose not to, you're better off spending your time on someone who's hungry and actively wants to grow. How do you know a relationship is broken, and how can you save it? Anytime a relationship is strained, damaged, or broken, address the problem as quickly as possible. When something is broken or a person is hurt, when there's silence between you, the other person almost always assumes the worst. And they start filling any gaps of information with negative assumptions. How can you tell when a relationship has become broken? These are the most common signs. It's hard to have an honest conversation, they don't want to hear from you. They don't want to talk it out. Maybe they've been so hurt that they just can't handle it. There's a lack of trust, the other person begins to question motives. Maybe they feel a sense of injustice or lack of fairness. Whatever trust was originally there begins to deteriorate. There's a lack of passion to continue the relationship, the other person stops putting in any effort to build back the relationship or make it work. They may withdraw completely. Even if you're together, you're not relating to each other. When you see these signs, you should try to repair the relationship. That doesn't mean trying to get it back at all costs. Some people sell themselves to try to buy back a broken relationship, and they give away too much. Your goal should be to repair the relationship, but to do it with integrity. Here's what I think it takes to do that. 1. Initiate fixing the relationship with them. I think it's always the leader's responsibility to be the first to try to mend the relationship. We need to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, can we go to lunch? We need to talk." That doesn't mean it always pays off. But it's hard to rescue a relationship if you don't take responsibility for initiating. 2. Give them the benefit of the doubt. I always go into that conversation assuming that I've done something wrong. I've discovered that if there's hope for helping a relationship come back, the conversation goes better if I'm open and willing to take the blame. So I assume I'm wrong. I'll ask, have I offended you? Is there something I've done that's put a strain on our relationship? Is there anything I can do to make amends? Please talk to me. Sometimes people say, no, it's not you, and they'll explain what's going on in their life that is causing them to withdraw. Sometimes they say, yes, there is. Here's what you did. And they'll talk to me. When that happens, there's a chance to repair the relationship. When that's the case, I ask forgiveness. And even if what I did wasn't wrong, I still apologize for what hurt them. It's difficult to move forward with relational baggage weighing you down. 3. Be willing to walk the second mile. I believe it is the responsibility of the leader to initiate and to go the second mile in trying to repair a broken relationship. Leaders need to be quick to say, I'm sorry. They need to be willing to make needed changes. That's a part of leadership. In relationships, I believe the stronger person is the first one to come back and offer to reconcile. The stronger person is the first to ask for forgiveness. Usually that's the leader. Even if the leader has been the injured party, he or she needs to initiate. However, the truth is that the weaker person controls the relationship. They always do and they always will. There will be times when no matter how much effort you put in, the relationship is never the same as it was before. And you can't be held hostage by that. You have to accept it because, as a leader, you have the responsibility to be a good steward of your team or organization. You cannot allow your personal feelings of not wanting to hurt somebody keep you from doing what's best for the organization. That was hard for me to learn, because I'm so relationally driven. 4. Speak well of them afterward. After I've talked to people and tried to resolve whatever issues we've had, my goal is to have no unfinished business with them. Whether we resolved the issues and mended the relationship or had to part ways, I don't want there to be any kind of grudge between us, and I want to say only positive things about them. I think a lot of relationships are worth saving, but many can't be saved. We have to learn to say to ourselves, it's okay. I don't have to keep this close relationship with this person anymore. You have to be secure in your leadership and give yourself permission to have a different relationship from what you had before. You still value the person, but you let them go.